in the last stream, we began work on kind of the very, very early beginnings of Britannia. We got our Pure Daisy down, we got a mana pool, we got our first Endo Flame, our first mana spreader, and we kind of set it up right about here. Between streams, I've gone ahead and done a little bit of work on this platform above us. This used to be, of course, where all of our ancient cobblestone was created. Now that we have an automated way of making ancient cobblestone, again, that we set up in the last stream, we don't really need to have so much space dedicated to putting down all of our ancient cobblestone. And so what I've done between streams is I've gone ahead and added kind of a layer of grass to the top of the cobblestone that was already there. I have tweaked the ancient cobblestone setup just a little bit. So now instead of having just the one world block exporter, we now have 8 world block exporters, all exporting cobblestone from the cobblestone generator. I've also moved all of the hourglasses of nostalgia over to this area so that all of these cobblestone blocks here should be transforming into ancient cobblestone much faster than they were before. Over here you can see kind of all of the world block exporters under the ancient cobblestone there being used to place the cobblestone down. As you can see, we're up at 2,048 ancient cobblestone, and we actually have so much, in fact, that it's kind of backing up in this item hopper here. And so I think one of the first things that we should probably look at doing is getting both a void upgrade, so we can delete any excess ancient cobblestone so it doesn't kind of overflow into the world and start causing lag on the server. But also I think we should maybe look at getting at least one storage upgrade so we can store more than 2,048 ancient cobblestone. And given that we do have quite a lot of emeralds, and given that emeralds are the best storage upgrade, I feel like we might as well go for this one. It's going to increase the storage to 32 times the base value here. Boom and boom. So now, hopefully, going forward, we should be able to hold a lot more ancient cobblestone, and we should delete any excess ancient cobblestone that we produce. And other things that I've done up here, I have moved this kind of wall of cobblestone here. This is, for the time being at least, our vine wall, holding all of the vines and letting them grow. I feel like we should probably go ahead and quickly grab our shears and just reset those. I'm not quite sure how many vines we're going to need going forward, but just in case we do need quite a few, I will go ahead and grab all these and then replant the top line. And then finally, the last thing that I've done between streams is I have made, I think, 5 more endo flames here. Yeah, we started with the one, and so between streams, I went through and, made 5 lots of everything you see here. None of it's really too difficult. The fire diamonds are super easy to make. The ember crystals are pretty easy to make with the crystal catalyst, and the molasses is also pretty easy to make with sugarcane, which for the time being I've been growing kind of down there by our petal apothecary. Now, what I want to work on in today's episode is hopefully getting across to the hopefully getting across to the terrestrial agglomeration plate, which is going to be quite the task. And especially if we're going to get the next quest, which is 5 terrasteel ingots. So the way that you make terrasteel is you drop a mana pearl, a mana diamond, and a mana steel onto a terrestrial agglomeration plate with a mana pool nearby that has half a mana pool worth of mana. Right now, if we go and look at our current mana pool with our Wand of the Forest, we will see that we have nowhere near half a mana pool worth of mana. And if we're going to get 5 terrasteel, that means we're going to need 2.5 mana pools worth of mana, which is pretty pricey. So we're probably going to want to get started sooner rather than later generating mana. And so I'm thinking, what is probably going to be the easiest way to get a large amount of fuel for our endo flames is taking the pre-existing fuel that we have over here in the form of carrots, beets, and watermelons, and using those with lava to produce charcoal, and then using that charcoal over with the endo flames to produce mana. And I think that we can probably automate this fairly easily using a little bit of integrated dynamics. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, I do think that if we're going to work more with integrated dynamics, there are a couple of things that we're going to want to set up. The first is a much better way of getting mineral chunks. Right now, or should I say up until now, if we've wanted to get mineral chunks, we've either been chopping down trees or crafting up mineral berries. Now that we have the mechanical squeezer over here, we can actually get a very large amount of mineral chunks from all of our mineral wood, and at the moment we do have 366 mineral wood from all of those mineral trees that we've been chopping down. So what we can do is, if we take the mineral wood, and if we take our drying basin, I'm fairly certain that if we squeeze the mineral wood in the mechanical squeezer, not only do we get crystallized mineral chunks from that squeezing, but we also get mineral resin. And I'm fairly certain that the mechanical squeezer will auto-eject that mineral resin into the drying basin. Let me try that real quick. I think that should work. Okay. The problem we're having here is that we have 750 millibuckets of liquid chorus in here already. So if I just quickly break and replace this, does that go away? It does not. I think that we might be able to get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so we did have to put down a tank here. And I don't know if I can empty this tank easily. We might just have to live with this being slightly full of liquid chorus. I guess if we get another 250 millibuckets, we could make a regular bucket and then pull it out of that tank. For now, though, over here, we should now be able to put our mineral wood in, because now there is space in the tank, and you'll see we're getting mineral resin. And because this here is set to auto-eject, if we put down the drying basin, that should fill up with mineral resin and begin turning that mineral resin into blocks of crystallized mineral chunks. And so finally here, if we get something along the lines of an item extractor from embers, which does require some more lead plates, which does require some more lead, which I think we should be able to do here. Yeah, we do have 12 lead ore, so if we just grab that and run it through the old furnace. So once we have 2 more lead here, that should be everything to make a new set of item pipes. Let me just quickly check that I don't have any item pipes. I do not. So I'll put you in there. That gets us the extractor. And then if we go ahead and take one of those item pipes along with a lever, we should be able to fairly easily here. And you know what? For now, we'll just go ahead and grab like a cobblestone chest. We'll put that down, let's say right about here. We will do item extractor, item pipe, and lever. And that should pull all of the blocks of crystallized mineral over into the chest. Nice. And as you can see, we're also getting just a ton of crystallized mineral from the mechanical squeezer itself. And so now going forward, we really shouldn't have to worry too much about getting more of these mineral chunks, because we do have so much of the wood. And of course, if we do need it, we can always chop down more trees to get more wood. But I think we'll probably have enough mineral chunks here to get us through at least a couple of streams. So now that we have this, what I'm thinking here is I'm thinking that we should do, I guess, a couple of things, actually. I'm thinking we should take one of the items here, either the watermelon, the beets, or the carrots, because those are the 3 that can turn into charcoal. And we should set up a system that drops one of those 3 into or on top of a block of lava. Once it's turned into a charcoal version of the item, we can then have an item world importer pick up that item and send it over to our Britannia area. Now, being the fool that I am, I have set these up like at opposite ends of the base, and so we are going to have to do quite a bit of cable running in order to actually make this happen, but I think that's probably not going to be too big of an issue. And I did find out between streams that you can make facades from integrated dynamics to cover up the cabling. And so I think what I might do is kind of run some integrated dynamics cabling in the kind of cobblestone edge of the platform all the way around and over to the Britannia area. So let's get a bit more cobblestone, and let's make this platform just a little bit wider. Let's also see about getting a world item exporter and a world item importer. I'll bookmark both of these. I don't think either are going to be too difficult for us. They are going to require another logic detector here, but that really shouldn't be too difficult. Do we only have the one? Actually, no, we have quite a few of them. Nice. So the only thing we're missing for this guy is an item importer, which is nice and easy for us to make. And there we go. I think what I might do here is I might set up a little bit of a system as well to stop like all of our carrots or all of our beets being transformed into charcoal, because although we do want, quite a few of them to be transformed, enough to keep our ender flames fed, I think we do also want to keep some of them in, and let's say we're going to work with carrots here. We do want to keep some of them in carrot form, I think, because going forward, we might want to get more of this primordium, especially if we want to set up like an automatic ore generator using the primordium here, which we could do with the primordialis reactor. So I think we'll also try and get a redstone writer, and we'll see about getting into some slightly more interesting and slightly more complicated integrated dynamics, which is also going to require a logic programmer, this guy right here, which is a block of crystallized mineral and a crafting table, as well as a variable storage, this guy right here again. A lot of mineral, but nothing that we cannot handle. We're just missing one block of mineral here that we now have 28 of, as well as, of course, a regular chest. I don't know if we can use the cobblestone chest. I would assume that we cannot. No, it does have to be a wood chest. Do we have enough planks? We totally do. Perfect. Boom. And boom. So let's get some cobblestone. And let's make the kind of platform under here just a little bit wider, because I think we're going to set up the kind of charcoal making over here. So let's do something like this. We're also going to want to grab a bucket so we can move some of our lava up just a little bit. So the idea over here is that we're going to grab a bucket of lava. We're then going to, I think, extract carrots from this basic drawer over into our new basic drawer. And the new basic drawer, I don't think we want to be connected to the drawer controller. This second basic drawer is essentially to allow us to kind of limit how many carrots are turned into charcoal, just so we don't burn all of our carrots. I also think we are going to want to put both storage and void upgrades, by the way, onto all of these, because right now, of course, we're going to run out of carrots because these 3 or 4 or 5 drawers are kind of blocking up the system, right? Like if we get too many watermelons and the system's blocked up, things are not going to work. Like if we look up here, the system is all clogged up because we have too much of every item. So if we want to get a continuous supply of carrots, we are going to want to put, at the very least, void upgrades on all of these. But for now, let's go ahead and put a draw down, let's say right about here, because I think we're going to use an item extractor to pull from there. What we're then going to do is we're then going to have a block, let's say right here, that has lava in it. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to grab a little bit more cobblestone, because I do need to do a little bit of building here. And we're going to have the world item exporter on one side and the world item importer on the other. So world item exporter goes on the side of the carrot, and the world item importer can actually go on any of the other 3 sides. I'm just going to put it on this right-hand side here. We can then break all of these. And in fact, I think we probably will leave blocks here and here just to make sure that any carrots that are dropped don't end up, you know, not on this body of lava. What we're then going to do is we're then going to grab some logic cable to actually connect all of this up. And we're also probably going to need an item interface, which thankfully we already have. How much logic cable can we make here? We can make actually quite a bit now because we have so many of these crystallized mineral chunks. I think the next limiting factor for us is probably going to be sticks, which is also not too difficult for us to work with. So if we do item interface down and into the world item exporter, what should happen is if we have carrots in here, and if we tell the world item exporter to export any items that it has, like so, it should drop those carrots on the lava, and then they will kind of bounce around on that lava until they turn into charred carrots, at which point we want this guy, the world item importer, to pick those up. So much like with the exporter here, we do want to put a cable down so we can access this. Now here, we do want to be specific in the items that we pick up. If we were to put the variable here into pick up all item entities, it would just pick up all the carrots, which is not what we want. We want to specifically only pick up the charred carrots. And that is where the logic programmer comes into play. So this can go down anywhere. It doesn't require power. And this gives you a way of customizing your variables. For example, we want to set one of our variable cards here to an item. So if we type item, we can select type item. We can put our variable card down here, and then we can put the item that we want to set this card to in this center slot. So for example, let's go and actually burn up one of these. Oh, that's going to be a problem, eh? Oh, I didn't think about that. That's going to be a big problem, actually. Okay, so I've moved this little setup here just a few blocks over. So now when we drop the carrots down, they don't get pulled by the Hearthwell gravity block over there. So essentially what we were doing is we were going to char one carrot on purpose, which we can do. There we go. That one shouldn't burn, and we should be able to pick it up. And then over here, we're again going to type in item, select that. We're going to use this variable card here, and we're going to put in the charred carrot. So now over here, you'll see that this variable card is set to an item with the value of carrot charcoal. So if we bring this over and we put this variable card for the charcoal carrot into the world item importer under pick up item entity right here. This should now only pick up charcoal carrots. This guy over here, we do want to once again set to place all items. So now if we put carrots in here, those carrots should be extracted, they should be dropped, and once they get turned into charcoal carrots, they should then be picked up by the world item importer. The reason that they weren't picked up by the world item importer is that the world item importer doesn't have anywhere to send the charred carrots. So we are also going to have to get another item interface. Perfect. And we're also going to have to get some kind of drawer to actually store that. So once we have a basic drawer here, let's do this, this, and this. So now this should work. We should be able to take some carrots, put them in here. Those carrots should be exported by the world item exporter. Once they turn into charcoal, they should get pulled in by the world item importer. I'm a little worried about how much those carrots seem to kind of bounce over this way. Like they look like they almost got pulled by the gravity block. I think I might do something like this to kind of stop them bouncing up and out of that block there. But this does work, right? So we can now turn carrots into charcoal somewhat automatically. So what I think I'm going to do now is we're going to use another item extractor and item pipe to move the carrots from this drawer into this drawer so they can be turned into charcoal. But I want to set it up in such a way that the item extraction pipe, this one right here, has its redstone signal toggled on and off when we have enough charcoal. So we're not turning all of our carrots into charcoal, if that makes sense. To do that, we're going to use the redstone writer. We're also going to have to use an inventory reader, this guy right here, which does require 3 chests. And I would prefer not to use my mysterious wood, nor my undead wood. People did remind me we cut down a jungle tree in the last stream, so we do have quite a bit of jungle wood here that we can run through our sawmill for a few more planks. So once we have the 3 chests, we can make the inventory reader. This is going to allow us to read certain information about this inventory right here. So we're going to connect that up, and we are going to need yet more cable because we have seemingly run out. That is completely fine. More cable here should not be an issue, although again, we might be a little bit light on sticks. Although it appears that we're doing just fine. So let's connect that up. And then in here, you'll see that there are kind of a bunch of stats that we can utilize. The one that we want to use, and let me pick this up real quick. By the way, I did make a new wrench between streams. This guy is super easy to make. It's just crystallized mineral chunks and a redstone. Because previously, I was putting down cable, and then while you can break the cable with either your hand or a pickaxe, it takes forever. And with the wrench, you can just shift right-click, and it just pops right off, which is super nice. So yeah, in here we have all of these variables that we can utilize. For us, we want to use the variable that tells us how many items are currently in the drawer. Right now, there are 4 carrots in there, and if we look in here, you'll see that inventory count is set to 4. So we're going to take one of our variable cards, we're going to put it right here, and now we have a variable card that is linked to how many carrots are currently in this drawer. Right now, it's set to 4, but that's going to change as this drawer goes up. What we're then going to do is we're going to get the redstone writer, which is capable of emitting a redstone signal, and we're going to put that onto an item extractor. So let's see real quick if we have what it takes to make another item extractor here. We might need to get some more Caminite, although actually it seems like we are doing just fine. So over here, we're going to have the item extractor, of course, pulling out of the carrot drawer. We're then going to have this guy here, and I think this is not fine, actually. I was going to say I think this is fine. It's not, but it's fixable. We're going to move this drawer just over here like that so that it doesn't try to extract seeds into here. Although one thing that we can do to prevent any weirdness from happening here is we can get our drawer key and just lock that second drawer to carrots to make sure that nothing that isn't a carrot ends up in that drawer. Much like we've done with the first drawer, right? Just like that. Perfect. So right here, we're going to have our redstone writer, like this. We're then going to connect that up to our pre-existing cabling over there, and we'll get rid of you. And in here, we can tell this to export or to emit a redstone signal when something is true. So for example, this top line here is aspect redstone type Boolean. Boolean just means true or false. So what we're going to do is in our logic programmer, we're going to get a new variable. This variable is going to be an integer. An integer is just a whole number. So if we put this in, and let's say we go with 100. Actually, let's make it smaller. Let's say we go with like 20 for now, just as a proof of concept. We'll probably make this bigger, but let's say we go with 20. What we then want to do is we then want to make a less than variable. We want to stop emitting, we want to emit a redstone signal to the item extractor pipe when the number of items in the drawer is less than 20. And store. Now, if we put this variable here, this variable card with an output type Boolean into here, you'll see we get an error. And the error is variable with ID 678 and 679 could not be found within the current network. That is where this guy right here, the variable storage, comes into play. This needs to be placed down anywhere on the network. Also, we do need to connect this up, by the way. These two networks needed to be connected. Okay, now there's a problem here. Right, yes, okay, I see. The problem here is as soon as we connect these two up, it's going to start exporting the charcoal via the world exporter. So let me quickly change that card to item. And we're going to set it to carrots to make sure it only exports carrots, much like we're doing with the importer. Item, carrot, variable card. So yeah, now if we put this back in over here under place item entity, this should now only export carrots and not charred carrots. Getting back to the variable storage though, this can go down anywhere on the network so long as it's down and accessible. This is fine. You can then put your variables in here. So because this variable here needs to access these two variables, they need to be in a variable store that is on the network somewhere. So you'll see now carrots are being exported. We now have 68 carrots in here because it exported quite a few of them. I do want to tweak this a little bit. Over in the world item exporter, I think we're going to change the settings here, which you can access by pressing the plus. You'll see there's a whole list of properties down here. We want to change, I think, the item transfer rate. Right now, the item transfer rate is set to 64. I'm going to change this to 1. Basically, what that means is it's only going to ever export 1 carrot at a time, whereas before it would export a whole stack of carrots, which we might change back at some point to a stack of carrots, but for now, just to kind of show how this works, we'll set it to 1. So that's a lot of stuff that we just did. Essentially, we now have 68 carrots in here. Because 68 carrots is more than 20, which is the number we set up on this variable card, and because this here is set up to export a redstone signal when the number in here, aka the number on this variable card, is less than 20, then it stops emitting a redstone signal. If we were to take all the carrots out of here, this would start exporting carrots again, one at a time this time. Those carrots would then get burnt and deposited in the basic drawer. There's a little bit of a problem with doing it this way because you'll see that this number here is going up quite rapidly. It's pulling out a lot of carrots here into this basic drawer. So maybe we do want to stick with like a stack as opposed to one at a time. But once it gets above 20, over here, this number's going to stop going up because now this this extractor is no longer pulling carrots from this drawer. Hopefully that makes sense. And now this is going to continually cook all of these carrots. We're going to end up with a lot more than 20 because of how fast this item extractor is. And so you know what? In fact, let me go back over here and let's keep this at 64. Like a stack like that. And we'll also, I think, change the variable here. We'll change this variable card. Yeah, I'm going to change this variable card here to be 64. As opposed to being 20. Yeah, so now it should work in the exact same way. But when we have less than a stack of charred carrots, a stack will be pulled. This will be turned on. Items will be moved. A stack will be taken. A stack will be dropped. A stack will be burned. And a stack will be stored in here. At which point, everything will stop. So now we have this. What we want to do now is get those carrots over to our mana spreader, or to our endo flames, so we can start dropping them onto the endo flames to produce mana, right? Now, I was informed in the Twitch chat that we can actually make these guys right here, the omnidirectional connectors. These guys if we press shift, can connect to other omnidirectional connectors anywhere, including different dimensions. So to make these, oh no, hold on, I don't think we need these. I think we need monodirectional connectors. These guys can connect to other monodirectional connectors over a distance in a straight line. These are what we're after. We could make the omnidirectional ones, but I think the monodirectional ones are easier. So to make the monodirectional connectors, we need an output variable, an input variable, and then 3 cables. That's actually super easy. We do need 2 of these though. And my assumption, having read these, is that we can just have them be in a straight line. I don't know if they work with blocks in the way. Let me do a quick test here. I've actually not played with these. So if I were to do this, this, those are now connected. What we're going to do is we're going to get an item exporter, this guy right here. And that's going to allow us, if we put all of the required parts into the system here, that's going to allow us to export the charred carrots. But just as a proof of concept, we're going to have this guy here, and then the item exporter there. We're then going to get a new variable card that is once again going to be set to charred carrots. So we want item, charred carrots, variable. So this variable is just a variable that is set to charred carrots, and we're going to tell you to export charred carrots. So charred carrots, you'll see are being pumped out of here over into here. We should also actually lock that draw to charred carrots. And right now, this draw is going to keep getting stuff exported to it. Let me go ahead and turn that off. But this works. So this like wireless connection here does work. The carrots have stopped because this is over 64. If I were to put a block here, it looks like they're still connected. Although I actually have no idea if they are. Let's do this to maximize like the possibility of it not working. Over here we have 100 carrots. Over here we're up to the 8th slot. If I put in this guy, that does still work. Interesting. So maybe they don't have to have a clear line of sight. So this is where we want the other side of the monodirectional connector to be. But it's at this time that it's probably going to be a good idea to talk about how we're going to set things up over here. So I think what we probably want to do is, instead of exporting the charred carrots to a chest like we've been doing, I think we instead want to export our charcoal carrots to a hopper. That hopper is going to be feeding into an open crate, and that open crate is going to be set up with some redstone to drop those charcoal carrots onto the ground. So a hopper, of course, going to be super easy for us to make, and in fact, we might already have one in the system. We don't, but that is fine. We can go ahead and get one nice and easily. As for the open crate, to make that, we're going to need 7 living wood planks, which are made by crafting down living wood, regular living wood, which thankfully we do have. Perfect. So that's going to get us an open crate. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to put the open crate down above the endo flames. So for example, we'll put it down, let's say right about here. The way the open crate works is any item that is placed into the open crate will just be instantly dropped. So if we put a hopper here and we put in, let's say, a piece of cobblestone, that piece of cobblestone is fed into the open crate and then instantly dropped. What we're going to do is a pretty standard kind of like early game Britannia setup, and that is we're going to have a pressure plate underneath the open crate, so that when the, eventually, when the charcoal falls, because charcoal is what we're going to export to this hopper here, when the charcoal falls down, like that, it's going to land on the pressure plate, triggering a redstone signal, which is going to turn off the hopper, stopping the hopper from putting more charcoal into the open crate. Because, of course, what's going to happen is the charcoal is going to land, and the endo flames are going to eat it. If all of the endo flames are currently full, if they're all, you know, burning fuel, and they don't need charcoal, then the charcoal is just going to sit on that plate, and it's going to stop the open crate from dropping endless charcoal on the ground, and thus causing like a massive amount of lag. Now to do this, I think we are going to have to move this endo flame. For now, we'll put it like right about there. That should hopefully reconnect directly to the mana spreader. It does. And yeah, all we have to do here is get the redstone signal from this guy up and around to the hopper here, which is probably going to be easiest done with a little bit of kind of redstone signal inverting. Okay, so I think this works here. So right now, redstone signal is off. If I put 56 cobblestone in here, 2 cobblestone gets dropped, but then because there is items on the pressure plate now, the redstone signal comes out of the pressure plate, is inverted by this redstone torch, and then up here stops the items from coming out of the hopper, and therefore stops it from, emitting more down on the ground, which is exactly what we're after. So what we want to do now is we want to put our item exporter on this hopper right here. This is where we're going to export our charred carrots. Now, to connect that up, we have to go down here, which is actually, I think, going to be perfectly fine. So we're going to have a cable that kind of goes, I guess we'll be one further back, that kind of goes down here. And then as soon as we get down to the correct Y level, the same one that the other monodirectional connector is on, we should be able to use the other monodirectional connector that we have to connect this up to our pre-existing system. And then we should see charred carrots making their way over, and we should hopefully see mana being produced. So let's see if this works then. If we go all the way out to our hole, and we bring this down, I'm pretty sure that this is the Y level we want to be at. If I then put down the connector, that looks like it totally works. So hopefully, I think we should see carrots being exported here. Oh, just as soon, of course, as I put the variable card in right there. Look at that. The chocolate carrots are being exported. They're being eaten up by the endo flames. You'll see they're active when they have the little flame icon on them. And then from there, they're producing mana, which is being sent over to the mana pool. So we should now have an automated mana generation system. All of our carrots are being produced by the straw golem, of course. They're being sent down into the storage drawer. They're then being pulled over via this item extractor, when we don't already have some, into this drawer here, which is then being used by this world item exporter to export the carrots. They're then transformed on the lava into charcoal carrots, which the world item importer is set to pick up. Those are then moved over to this drawer right here. From there, we're using the monodirectional connector, which is wireless, to send our connection all the way over to this side of the base. From there, the charcoal carrots are being exported to a hopper, which is in turn feeding them into the open crate, which is dropping them down onto the pressure plate here. The pressure plate is there so that once we have too many, once all of our endo flames are active, the hopper is turned off, thus not sending any more charcoal carrots to the open crate, and thus stopping charcoal carrots from clogging up the whole system. And after all that, we are now finally starting to generate some mana. Nice. There is but one problem still to be solved. If we were to leave this running, which we will be doing, of course, our base is chunk loaded, but if we were to leave this in its current state, we would run out of carrots, because again, we do have things up here that are going to back up the system. So what we do need to do is we need to get at least 6 void upgrades for each of these here to make sure that the carrot supply never goes down too much. All right, so now all of these have void upgrades on them, so we shouldn't see any items being clogged up in the speedy hopper here, and so hopefully we should see carrots continue to be produced and continue to be used to produce mana over for our mana pool. And now, chat, we can finally look at completing some of the quests in the quest book here. The next one is to make the Runic altar. So for this, we need 5 living rock and then either a mana diamond or a mana pearl. The mana diamond requires an end diamond, which is made with end stone, an electric diamond, and obsidian, whereas the mana pearl is made with just a chorus pearl, which is 4 chorus fruit and an ender pearl, which I think is significantly easier, especially considering that we have 65 ender pearls and 35 chorus fruit. So I'm going to make one of those. All we then have to do is drop that into our mana pool, and we have to have this much mana in our mana pool, which I think we probably do have. I did put down some more ancient mossy cobblestone here, so we do have yet more living rock, and I think I will do even more, actually, because I think we're going to need even more ancient mossy cobblestone. So yeah, we have more than enough mana here, so if we drop in our chorus pearl, we get a mana pearl, and I don't think I think it looks a little deceiving here. I think it uses a lot less mana than it looks like there. Like, it used a tiny amount of mana, but either way, back over here, let's grab the next batch of living rock. And let's make ourselves a Runic altar. This guy, of course, is used to make runes. So the way this works is we can use a mana spreader to shoot mana at the Runic altar. For now, we'll put it right here. We'll probably end up making another mana spreader to pull mana out of the mana pool and shoot it at the Runic altar. But that is going to allow us to produce some of the runes required to make the terrestrial agglomeration plate. So the terrestrial agglomeration plate is made with 3 blocks of lapis, 1 block of mana steel, and then 5 runes. A rune of water, rune of earth, rune of mana, rune of air, and rune of fire. Each of these runes is made on the Runic altar with, I think, usually 6 items, maybe always 6 items. Yeah, with 6 different items and a little bit of mana. We are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. There is one quest before we get to the runes, and that is for the atomizer. I'm actually a little perplexed as to why the atomizer quest is here. It's very easy to make. It's made with just stone pressure plates and iron, which is pretty straightforward. We do need a little bit more in the way of regular stone by the looks of it here. Yeah, we're fresh out. That is perfectly fine. We can smelt some more up over here. But the atomizer allows you to turn fluids into their elemental value. So the Alchemistry mod that we have installed has all of the, periodic table of elements. And so a lot of these elements can be made in the atomizer from a liquid. Later on down the line, when we get things like the chemical dissolver, we can start turning items into their base elements. Like, for example, if we go through here a little bit, we should start to see items. Yeah, like we can turn apples into cellulose and sucrose. Cellulose is made from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So we can get into that eventually. For now, though, the atomizer does use power and can turn things like water into H2O or iron into Fe. But I'm actually not quite sure what the purpose of that is at this point in the pack, but maybe all will become clear fairly soon. Either way, though, boom, there is the atomizer. For now, I'm just going to put this back in the system because I don't really think we need it. And I don't think it really is required to make the Rune of Water, although maybe I'm missing something in terms of one of the items we need here. For the Rune of Water, we need a Mana Steel ingot. Mana Steel can be made in 2 ways. You can either drop a Soul Steel ingot, which we have made before, into the mana pool, or you can make a block of Mana Steel and then craft that down. The reason I mention that is that you can make a block of Mana Steel from a block of Mystic Iron. It does use a lot more mana, but I think the Mystic Iron is a lot easier to make than the Soul Steel, especially at scale. And we are going to need quite a lot of Mana Steel going forward here. So I think we'll probably make a few blocks of Mystic Iron and use those if we can. But the Water Rune does also require a Mana Powder, which you can make from Inferno Fuel, which we've made before. Easy enough. We also need a Leather of the Sea, which is 1 leather, 2 Prismarine shards, 2 Prismarine crystals. Seems easy enough. We have a lot of Prismarine now, thanks to our Prismarine Burst Seed. The End Diamond, easy enough. We saw this just a moment ago. Wet Sand, this is why we need the Atomizer, is water from Alchemistry and sand. That makes a lot of sense now. The Watermelon Jello is Watermelon Powder, which is Watermelon and Drying Agent. Again, seems doable. A Dark Soul does mean we are going to have to kill another Golem, which means we're going to have to make a new one for our farm, or make a new one to kill and leave the one at our farm. But we've made all the rest of this before. That seems very doable. And so, yeah, all of this seems kind of fine. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the backside, but I think we can do it. Now, before we start making the Water Rune, it has been requested that I eat more foods. People in the Twitch chat, and especially people in the YouTube comments, keep telling me, Isaac, you've got this Food of Life book. You got this book of food. You can get more hearts if you eat more foods. Right now, we've only in 26 out of a possible 348 foods, and so we're going to eat some more foods. I don't know if we've eaten this pear. I don't know if we can eat this pear. We can. I think we've eaten a carrot. People did tell me in the YouTube comments I can eat an iron ingot. I don't know if that's like strictly true, or if it is true if it's healthy, but I'm willing to give it a go. Nonetheless, let's take 1 iron here and quickly smelt that up. People have also been pointing out that at least with iron ore and a few of the other ores, we can run that through the mechanical squeezer to duplicate it. Hopefully that doesn't produce any fluid. It doesn't. Perfect. Because then we can smelt that and get 2 iron ingots per iron ore as opposed to just the 1. So can I eat this? I can't eat this. I don't know if there's like a way that I can eat this, but or if it's possible to eat this. I don't know why I'd be able to eat it. But either way, what has been given to me by one of the members of the server, Kronos04, is food. Apparently you can drop, they've been coming over and dropping items into the food here, or into the hopper here, which we can then eat. And there's even a freaking sugar box. Please have a taste. What in the world? Look at this. I'm not going to eat all of these, but I will try a few of them. We don't have that much food, man. Let's try the fiddle-dew fruit. We are going to make one of these, I think. It's required for the Rune of Air, so we are going to have to make one of these in a second here, which is fine. Meat patty, and I'll try one of those. We do. They're too good though. The foods are too good. We need to lose some hunger first. Yeah, I guess for now we'll put these back, and whenever I need food, we can periodically come over and like chomp down on one of those to hopefully fill us up a little bit. But either way, let's take a look at this water rune, shall we? So I don't think it's going to be too difficult. I think it's mostly going to be just a bit of a pain to craft. So do we have any Inferno fuel? We do not. We should be able to make the Inferno fuel, though, I think fairly easily. The only thing we are missing is carbon dust, and carbon dust we can, of course, get by grinding down a charcoal. So that is going to be easy enough. As for the mana steel, if we're going to make a full block's worth, which I think we might have to hold off on doing for now, simply due to the fact that I don't think we have the mana for it. Like, if we go look at our mana pool, I don't think we have enough mana to make a full block of mana steel, although I could be wrong on that. Oh no, it looks like we maybe do have, like, just enough to make a full block, which might be worth it, simply due to the fact that I think all of the runes that we're going to make require some form of mana steel. And then even the Rune of Mana requires 5 of them. So I think in total, we actually do need exactly 9, because we've got 5 runes, each one needs 1, apart from the Rune of Mana, which needs 5, so total 9. So yeah, I think it's probably definitely worth looking at getting a block of Mystic Iron here. Right now we have 2, so we need 7 more Mystic Iron, which means we need 7 raw Mystic Iron, which means we need 7 heavy ingots, 7 azul ingots, and 7 iron ingots. So we definitely have 7 heavy ingots. We probably don't have 7 azul ingots. Never mind, we have 26. Surprisingly, the only thing we're missing is the 7 iron ingots. So let's get like 14 iron and get that running through our mechanical squeezer. We'll then smelt that, of course, and use that to make our iron. While we wait for that, let's get some Inferno dust. And then we'll drop that in the mana pool for our first mana powder. Good stuff. From there, while we're still waiting for the iron, the leather shouldn't be too difficult. We actually don't have, I don't think, any leather. We can, of course, we can do a couple of things. We can turn rotten flesh into leather if we have any. We can also spawn cows in our spawner. Not something we've done up until now, but definitely something we could do. Do we have any leather? Do we have any rotten flesh? We do. Given that we only need the 1 leather for now, I think I am going to go ahead and just use the rotten flesh here. We'll just smelt that into 1 leather. Going forward, should we need a lot more leather, we can look into spawning a bunch of cows. But for now, I think that's going to work just fine. Let's take all of you, and let's put those in here as well, get those smelting. As for prismarine, we currently have 53 prismarine blocks, which is more than enough. We want to grind those down, I think? Yeah, we'll grind, I think just 1 of them should be enough. That's going to get us 4 prismarine shards, 2 of which we can squeeze into prismarine crystals, and that should get us the leather of the sea. As for the end diamond, endstone, electric diamond, and obsidian, endstone we have, obsidian we have, and an electric diamond we probably have. We do, we got 5 of them, nice. So let's put all of those over in our old atomic calculator here. There's our end diamond, perfect. We then need wet sand. I'll come back to that one in a second, I think. Actually, no, we'll do that one now, because the other 2 also look pretty difficult. So we need an atomizer, which for now, I guess we're going to have to put down maybe like under the mechanical squeezer here. Yeah, let's move you real quick. And by under the mechanical squeezer, I meant under the conductor mast to give it some power. And then we're going to have to put water in there, which really shouldn't be too difficult. I'm actually not sure how much of the water compound we get from 1 bucket of water. The answer is quite a bit, actually. 16, by the looks of it, which is more than enough. We only need 8, so 16 is perfect. If we come back over here and do 8 of these with 1 sand, That gets us a wet sand, which is able to grow sugarcane without adjacent water blocks. That could be useful going forward should we decide to set up a sugarcane farm. We wouldn't have to have it right next to water. The watermelon jello, we'll come back to in just a second. Let's get this block of mana steel going before I forget. So we should now be able to make the 7 remaining. Oh, I guess we're going to make 9. Raw Mystic Iron here. And then from there, we can just smelt that up into regular old Mystic Iron. While we wait for that, let's look at this watermelon jello, shall we? So we have the bits of water. We definitely have the sugarcane required to make sugar. As for the gelatin powder, we did make this before, and we should be able to make it again. We do need small bones, which thankfully we can make, and we do have drying agent still, so this doesn't seem too difficult. We do need a bucket of water. Also extremely doable. That's going to get us the gelatin powder. Perfect. And then the final thing we need is melon powder, which is a full melon and drying agent. It does appear that unfortunately we are now out of drying agent, but we can make it with natron crystals and seeds. Seeds, of course, we have a few thousand of over in here. Boom and boom. Good stuff. As for getting a full melon, I think you can just craft 9 watermelon slices into a full melon. And again, we do have maybe 2,000 melon slices over in our drawer. We do indeed. So if we just drop all of those into the system, we should then be able to make that full melon. And from there, we should be able to make the melon powder, which is going to allow us to finally make the watermelon jello. So now the only thing we're missing is the dark soul. Thankfully, we already do have some corrupty dust from the last time we did this. As for the soul, that is just soul sand smelted. Soul sand we can get by crafting with the dust and sand, or we can get it by turning, of course, regular sand into soul sand in the blood infuser. That is definitely, I think, the easiest way for us to go about doing this. Good stuff. And at that point, I think that, unfortunately, chat, we've come to the... oh, that's not what I want to do. I think, unfortunately, chat, we've come to the point in the stream where we once again have to get some fond memories here. So we're going to have to get a new golem. People in the Twitch chat did point out that the golem that we already have, the one up on the farm, he's done nothing wrong. You know, he's just out there living his best life, doing... You know, he's been farming for quite some time now. And I feel like we probably just have to let him do what he does best. So instead, we're going to make a fresh spawn golem here. We're going to spawn it. We're going to look away, chat. Look away. And then once we have the golem corpse, we can then go ahead and drop the old crushing block on him. And then once we have the crushed golem meal here, we can then go ahead and light that on fire. Oh my goodness, this is such a process. Please. And there we go. Fond memories. Perfect. So at that point, all we have to do is smelt down that soul sand, and we should be good to go. This right here is going to get us a block of mystic iron. We will throw that into our mana pool momentarily. The soul is done, so that should be everything for the dark soul here. Not to be confused with the game franchise of a similar name. And I think we're pretty much there. Let's get the mystic iron into our mana pool here. We do have enough mana. Again, that didn't use anywhere near as much as it said it was going to use. It looks like it's going to use a quarter pool, It definitely didn't use a quartz pool there, which I'm definitely happy about. But now we can craft that down, of course, into mana steel. And if we do mana steel, end diamond, watermelon jello, dark soul, mana powder, which I might have put away, wet sand. I think mana powder is the last one. And we are also going to need some living rock as well. The reason for that will become apparent momentarily here. Is that everything? Oh, of course. The last thing is the leather, which did we finish that, or is that still going? That is still going. We need to take 2 prismarine shards, give those a quick squeeze. And that should be everything for the leather. Make sure everything's in the system, and boom, leather of the sea. Nice. Okay, so if we add that to the list up here, we now have to get mana into here. You'll see that the rune is ready. We've got all the correct ingredients. For now, given that we only have 1 mana spreader, I'm going to move this mana spreader over to here. That's going to start sending mana from the mana pool over into the runic altar. You can see on the right that the rune is kind of slowly filling clockwise with a green overlay. Once that gets fully full, the way that you finalize the rune is by dropping living rock onto the runic altar and then right-clicking with the wand of the forest. You'll see in just a second, we'll see a bolt of lightning appear. There it is. We can then, you'll see it says plus wand of the forest plus living rock just under the rune there. So living rock, wand of the forest, and there we go. We got our rune of water. Perfect. We're then going to go ahead and, for now at least, move this back preferably to exactly where it was. If you put the mana spreader back in the exact same position, you don't have to relink the Endo Flames. If you put the mana spreader back down in a different position, you do have to relink your Endo Flames. So if I'm not mistaken, my mana spreader was right here. You can actually check where your mana spreader was by holding your wand of the forest, and you'll see that these Endo Flames are connected to this block here. So if we put this back, it should again fill up, and if we do this and this, it's going to continue to send mana to the mana pool. So that's the process for making runes, and that is another quest complete. With no reward, which is interesting, we did get a liquefier for completing this quest, which I think makes a bit more sense actually, because now we can maybe turn... Oh, I see. This just allows us to turn the elements that we had... It's basically just an inverse of the atomizer. So you can turn molten lead into lead, you can then turn lead back into molten lead if you like, using the liquefier there, which might come in useful later on down the line. But now we have the next quest, which is the terrestrial agglomeration plate, which is really where things get a little tricky, because now we have to make everything else. We're going to have to get another block of mana steel, which I don't think is going to be too bad, but we also have to go through just a ton of crafting, because the Rune of Earth requires a bunch of stuff that we currently don't have. At least, some of the stuff's easy enough, like the mana powder and the mana pearl, but then another seed of life, an apple jello, a block of egg charcoal, another dark soul. We then need the Rune of Air, which is the fiddledew fruit, the fermented feather, a colorful feather, another dark soul. We're going to have to kill so many straw golems. A TNT, a fire diamond, another seed of the nether, and another dark soul, and then a mana pearl and a bunch more mana steel. So we need a ton of mana steel. I think we'll come back and do this, a lot of this in the next stream. I'll try and get, I'll probably do some of the crafting, like for all the dark souls and for the mana steel between streams, just so we're ready to go at the start of the next stream. Some of these things, like the fiddledew fruit, we're going to have to figure out how to make that. We might have to make a flawless calculator or an analyzing chamber if we're going to make that happen. One last thing I do want to do before we wrap up today's stream, though, is I would like to get a few more mana pools, as well as a mana spreader. Because right now, we are getting mana, but we're getting it fairly slowly. Between now and next stream, I'd love to back up on quite a bit of mana. This is, of course, going to keep going while I'm not on here because we have the base chunk loaded. If we get a mana spreader and a few more mana pools, we can set up like 4 mana pools, and hopefully by the time we come back for next stream, we'll have like 4 mana pools worth of mana, which is going to be great because we need 2.5 of those mana pools just to make the 5 Terra Steel required to progress on. We are going to need a little bit more in the way of living rock to make this happen here. But that's fine. We have the mossy ancient cobblestone ready to go. As for the mana splitter, we need 2 mana steel and then 6 living rock. Thankfully, we do have 8 mana steel left over here, which I will use, even though we could use it for the runes. We're going to have to make more anyway between streams, so that's completely fine. So yeah, we need 6 more living rock, which should be done any second now. So once all this is done, we'll grab that. And then back over here, that should be everything to make the mana splitter. Let's just make sure everything is in the system. There we go. And I didn't need to make 4 mana pools, actually. I only needed to make 3 because we, of course, already have 1 mana pool. Either way, that is fine. So I'm not going to move this mana pool because we do lose the mana that's in it if we do that. Instead, what I'm probably going to do is I'll just put the mana splitter. It's going to look a little odd, but I'll put the mana splitter here. And we'll then do this, this, and this. What we can now do is if we redirect the mana spreader to the mana splitter, when mana hits this, that mana is then distributed amongst all 4 mana pools. So now instead of just filling up the 1, we're going to slowly but surely fill up all 4. So hopefully what's going to happen between streams is this setup here is going to keep going. It's going to keep producing the charcoal carrots, and it's going to keep producing mana. When we come back for the next stream, we're hopefully going to see 4 full mana pools worth of mana. We're going to hopefully be able to make the terrestrial agglomeration plate. From there, we're going to get 5 mana steel, 5 mana diamonds, and 5 mana pearls, so we can make the 5 terra steel, and then we can look at getting into this compressor here from Soulus, which, judging by the chapters here, is a bit of a pain to set up, and is also maybe a multi-block as well. Yeah, it mentions right here, you may want to assemble, the Composer multi-block. I've never used this, so I'm going to have to figure out how that works, but maybe, just maybe, we might be able to get our first niobium ingot next stream, and then move on to Chapter 5, although I'm not quite sure how long any of this is going to take. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.